Hi, this is Dave Joyce coming to you from Kscope13 here in San Antonio, Texas. And right now I have the privilege to be talking with Cary Millsap from Method R Corporation, President, CEO, and Founder.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Cary. So, Cary, what brings you to Kscope?
Well, every year I look for groups of developers who get together, and I just don't know of very many, but I certainly don't know of any better than this. And in terms of conferences I go to, it's one of my favorites. I think it's my favorite, actually, and I love being here.
Well, we love having you, I'll tell you that. Last night you gave the keynote presentation titled Learning About Life Through Business and Software. And I got to tell you, I enjoyed it a lot. I laughed, I cried. It was the feel-good hit of the summer, I tell you.
Did you actually cry?
It got close, maybe a little bit. It pulls at you.
Because that's one of the effects I was going for.
It really, and there was laughing too. I mean, it moved you around, and it was a lot like the chart you drew about how life really is. I mean, your talk was a reflection of that.
Good.
Well, there was time to talk, and then all of a sudden you were way up here, and then you're way down here, and so there was a lot going on.
That's designed in.
Imagine that. Back to design.
Right.
So that was really great. You shared a lot of personal information in that talk. It could not have been easy for you to do that.
You know, I've done this talk 4 times now, and the first time I did it was at UKOG in December, and I was very afraid. I was really, really nervous going into that one because I'd never done anything like that before. And what really helped was I made it through, but last night there were a couple places you could tell I could have gotten a little choked up if I'd have kept going down the trail that I went and I changed directions. And at UKOG, I came perilously close to having to do the whole wait a minute, clear my throat, get a glass of water thing, 2 or 3 different times. And I had worried about that leading up to the event. And then when I made it through, I felt very nervous, honestly, even when it was over, because I didn't know how it would be received.
It's different. It's different.
Laying it out there.
Yeah.
And I had a half dozen people afterwards come up to me, kind of with pools in their eyes, thanking me with 2 hands and holding on for a long time and telling me that it was going to help them, and that it just helped them in their life, and it helped them see some things that they were dealing with in their own lives that would make it easier for them to deal with what they were having to go through. And that's when I knew it was a win. It was a win to have made the decision to try and take the risk to do it. And so then I worried. I worry just all the time. So then I worried about, can I do this again? Because how can you stand up there and pretend that something's that meaningful over and over and over? It suddenly becomes like, well, I'm not an actor. I'm not in theater up here. So the risk then became that I worried about that I would lose the kind of the edge and the energy that it takes to make it that interesting. And what's happened is the stories are still the same, and I feel like sometimes, I did that story better in the second one and this one better tonight, so there's a little variability there, but I at least have the confidence now that I can go up and not just start, sobbing on stage. And it's like anything else, I guess it takes a little bit of practice. But now that I've done it 4 times, I kind of know where the potholes are and where the dangers are and things like that. So I feel a little more confident. And in fact, last night I probably had more fun doing it than I ever had, because I was really looking forward to it, because I felt like I was sort of in control of the event enough that I could sort of enjoy it while I was doing it.
I have to say it was excellent, and it was inspirational.
Thank you very much.
I suppose you're also giving some sort of technical presentation at this conference?
Tomorrow morning at 8:30. Nobody will be there but me, but I will be there on time and ready to go, and I will show pixels.
And what is the title of this one?
The title tomorrow is Instrumentation, Why You Should Bother.
Well, okay, so I know it takes an hour or so to actually explain that, but
actually it doesn't.
Can you give me the short version in 3 minutes or less?
Performance is a feature. It's not just an accident. It's not just an attribute of other features. A lot of people think that performance is the thing that comes with book and order. I click book and order, it does all these things, and performance is a necessary byproduct of that. Has to be that it runs in less than, say, 2 seconds. So most people think of performance as an afterthought. tomorrow's talk is that performance is really a feature that people need. And the session begins with a list of questions about a typical app. How many orders did you book yesterday? Well, I can probably figure that out by querying the order lines table and looking at the date column. Okay, how many of those took more than 2 seconds? How would I know that? Well, it's easy to find out how long an order takes. It's easy to persist how long an order took. Put it in a table. So then you can query and say how many orders yesterday took less than 2 seconds. You can know. And it's really not difficult. And back to why am I here at this conference? Well, these are the people that can make applications record that information. And there are 20 or 30 intensely interesting questions that I've given this talk many times, and I get people saying, yeah, I'd love to know that. And you don't really have to persist that much data in order to know the answers to these 20 or 30 questions. But a developer has to be involved in creating the data that allows us to go back and answer them. So tomorrow's about what are the things that we'd like to know. So I'm trying to whet people's appetites about what can you have, and then I show how to go get it. So I've got a couple of slides with lots of code examples, and we talk through exactly how do you get these things I'm saying you should be getting.
Well, that sounds fascinating.
Oh, it is.
I'll try to be there.
It's going to be fantastic.
I got to say, I was checking out your blog. I was looking at that, and I was reading about the string problem.
Oh, yeah.
And I found it fascinating, the answer. I won't tell what it is. You got to look it up at carymillsap.blogspot.com. Go there. And what I really do want to know, though, is did your son get his allowance?
No, he didn't win the prize yet. And I asked them periodically. I've got 2 boys, 14 and 12. And when I explained it to them both, I ended up having to explain to them both. And I told them, I said, you can still win the prize if you can explain it back to me in a month. And I don't care if they cheat. They can read the blog. If they can read the blog and then come to me and tell me what they read, they win the prize. So far, neither one of them is bothered, but I think it's because they already have enough $10 bills as it is.
Yeah, that could
so
be.
maybe there's just not sufficient motive. Maybe I haven't made the stakes high enough yet.
Could do it. Just one more question.
Yes, sir?
Kscope13, great conference or greatest conference ever?
Oh, greatest conference ever.
You heard it here, folks. Are you going to be back next year?
Yeah, I plan to be.
So we'll see you in New Orleans.
All right, awesome. Thanks.
Great. Thanks.